So as you know, I wanted to explain. This spot right here is known as Rico Full House. He's actually from a comic that I've been writing. And right now he's going under repairs, so his body is different. He's the same bot that I used in Mutant Maker. His program is up and down. His AI mind is actually quite brilliant. Except his AI mind is actually semi-separate from the body. So they're detachable, but they're also able to be one with each other. Like, he's still aware of how his body is moving, what position it's in, when it has its engines and sensors in. However, if I disconnect his brain from his body, he gets confused. However, he is aware of what his body is doing when I look at his computer chip that speaks to me. So, yes, he is functional, to say the least. He's just not as functional as I want him to be yet. What I want him to be, eventually, is almost like an actor for my comic. And that means that he's trademarked. Now, I did have to take out a few of his wireframes, like in his arms and stuff, for the stop motions and the like. They are removable, as these are like tubings. And when I do the stop motions, I actually remove his mechanisms in his arms so I don't break them by forcing his arms into the wrong positions. Now, I've had a lot of people comment in my real life about how his hands look a little odd. And yeah, there's no denying it. They are a little strange. The duct tape is actually used as a temporary coverage for the joints, just to keep water out of them. And the hands, I can't exactly remove the mechanics from. I've actually got to pull this part up. The wrist here, I've got to actually, take all this tape off of here. And then I connect the robotic components inside. And then that reactivates the wrist when the wires are re-hitched up to his shoulders. So, this here is one of my babies. And I say that because I've honestly been trying to make him as functional as possible. I have noticed that when I did have his servos in, they were just too cheap. They were way too cheap. And they were breaking, like, a lot. And for the time being, he doesn't really have much movement in his body. But with that said, say I lift his arm up and I have his brain connected, which is in underneath this headpiece. It's literally inside the skull here. Then what happens is I can move this arm when it has its connector in, which it doesn't have it in right now. And he will still process that I have touched or moved his arm. But of course, when he doesn't have his connector in his arm here, he doesn't process much of anything. So with that said, he is one of my newer ones, and I've been working on him quite a bit recently. Unfortunately, I would like to get him better parts, but I've been having a hard time trying to figure out what the best parts are for him, because it's almost like he's too advanced in his modules for any of the servos to hold. Because here's the thing, the last test I did, he had full human movement in the stomach area. Like, he could move back, forward, but it was like short-lived, and his servos just, they gave up. They instantly died. I'm not sure where I keep fucking up, but hopefully eventually I'll be able to get him fully functional. But for now, this is the bot from Mutant Maker. You should probably go check those out. It's a short series based on a DLC version of my comic. And this is going to be what his new form is going to look like. Except it's going to look better than this. He has a chest plate which I've got to install into his chest cavity here. And that chest plate is actually metal with a few choice components in it, like chest motion. It's like a pulsating chest plate to replicate breathing. Now, I'm not about to tell you what my parts are because I don't want my bot stolen. So, to protect my trademark, I'm not about to reveal all the technology that I'm going to be using in him in full. But when he's up and running and his servos stop breaking, I'll be more than happy to show how he moves. And my plan for him is to have him have human-like motion above what the average machine has. So, up until then, we're going to have to do the stop motions with removing his different parts so that I don't break the components as I work on them. And we'll probably stick with Mutant Maker for the time being. The Mutant Draw, to explain those, I know they weren't, say, the best images I've drawn, so let me acknowledge that for a moment. But they're actually rough drafts of creatures from my comic world that he is from. So, they are based on creatures I'm going to be building as his little ragdolls and Mutant Maker, as well as his comic in general. So you can see them as almost like a preview of the smaller creatures that'll be in like the background, the wildlife of that comic, to give you a bit of an idea for when I do my final release, which for now, I'm not going to tell you when the final release is coming out, not because it's not being done, but literally because I don't actually know when it's going to be done. Every single comic page and every single animation that I have done for this here boy's comic strip and animation for less than a minute takes over 24 hours to do. So it's incredibly slow, solo design, and his comic is not much different. Each page takes me literally 12 hours to do one side almost. Sometimes I can get 2 or 3 sides done, but only if I simplify the images. But let's just say it's intended to be one of my best pieces I've ever done. So, I'm not going to say a release date because I honestly don't know. Because it's long, the pictures take forever, the animation's taking even longer, and for the time being, Mutant Maker is just going to have to be the staple. So, as time progresses, Mutant Maker is intended to get better, maybe some better special effects. I hate to admit it, but I don't know a lot about green screening. I do know a little bit about coding. But green screening? No. I don't know why it eludes me at all. I don't know. I've got tech under my belt. I'm good at tech. But I'm stupid with green screen, okay? So, if any of you can explain to me how the hell green screen works, that'd be great. Because I've tried to read, like, explanations. I don't do well with descriptions of that stuff. It takes me multiple times to actually figure out what's being said. And I don't know, it could just be because I've got a little bit of Danish, German background. And I've also got American background. I was in a basically very bilingual background in general with a lot of different views on things and a lot of different technological levels. And I've tried to keep up with the trends. I've tried to keep up with the mechanisms. I've tried to keep up with the programs. But they're always coming out with more and more, and at this point, I just lost track. So, forgive me if my special effects aren't perfect. And I just thought I should engage, and I was going to do a blog for this month, but I got wrapped up trying to figure out what the schedule for this was, and then I lost my goals book, which had my schedule. Until I find that, I'm not able to do the blog that tells you the times and the dates of which things are going to be done in. So you're going to have to wait on it. As soon as I find that, I will tell you when the games are coming in, the days, the times. But until then, it's going to be like Russian roulette of YouTube, because you don't know what you're going to get. It's like a slot machine. You might get my terrariums, you might get chalk art. Right now, it's kind of fill in the gaps. So, you take care for now, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.